Hi everyone and welcome along. We've got a few spaces left on my Morocco painting trip and I would just love for you to join me. We're going to be painting the beautiful, bright and colourful plants and flowers of the area, as well as the amazing Moroccan tile patterns. They're one of my favourite things to paint. So I thought today, why don't we do a quick and simple tile tutorial just to give you an idea of the kind of things we'll be painting out there. And of course, if you are interested in joining us, then just find all the details below in the episode notes. But for now, grab your paints and let's get started. So to approach a tile painting, it's all about forming a bit of a grid and getting a little set square in. So what I've done is I've drawn a square that's 8 centimetres by 8 centimetres. So start with that, and then what's really handy is you can mark out 4 sections, 2 centimetres each, and then I'm going to just give myself a 2 centimetres little marks along all around all the square, which means I can then draw in a grid. So I just joined up the lines across from the markings, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use each cross as a point to draw in some diagonal lines. So just join those ones up, and I'm going to have a framework which is going to allow me to draw in all kinds of repetitive and symmetrical patterns just from using this quite simple technique to establish that grid. So we've now got our grid of pattern. So we did crisscrosses just both ways, just finding the points and sending a pencil line down at each cross. Now, first thing we're going to do is paint in a nice pale background wash, and I've got some buff titanium here, which is going to be a really fantastic colour. Let's bring that down. Now, these brushes are going to be so useful. This is a one-stroke brush, which I actually have as part of my Bloom brushstroke set, but it's just so good for getting in those corners and doing really nice, clean, straight edges. And what I'm doing here is I'm just giving us a really nice pale wash of a base colour. Buff titanium is a really lovely colour anyway, but in doing this it means that I don't have to fill my whole tile with tons of colour, because after I rub out the pencil lines, this pale wash will remain. How good is this brush, everybody? I highly recommend getting yourself a one-stroke brush in your set. Lovely. So we just need that to dry a little bit. In fact, I'm just going to pick up the excess water on my page there, and then we are going to start painting in some pattern. Yes, we're going to just paint it on rather than worrying about drawing it in pencil. And that might seem reckless and crazy, but I'm all about trying to simplify things down and using the brush to draw and create as much as possible. So for a lot of it, I'm going to use this much smaller one-stroke brush, which is the 1/4 inch brush, which also has a lovely flat head, which means I'm going to be able to create some nice sharp shapes. So we'll just let this dry first. Okay, so I'm going to use Opera Rose as my first colour, and so I've just woken it up here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a square using the grid that I've got here, and all I'm doing is using the grid to work out sort of how far to go. So it's all done by eye, but with the help of this grid There we go, so I'm just going down to that point there, and coming across, coming up. And what I like is in the hand painted element of this piece is we've got a little bit of sort of human wobble with it and human error, but the grid is going to help us create something really nice. Now I can see that this square is a tiny bit smaller than the other one, so I'll just make it a little bit bigger along those grid lines so it can just travel a little bit further out. But how brilliant is this brush? So good. So I am going to place in these squares on the angles here on the diagonal, and then we're going to place in a clever little extra few corners to turn these squares into stars. So to get this effect, all I'm going to do is angle my brush in the direction of those lines, hit the top corner of the brush on that vertical line and just draw it in. And then for these ones down here, it's quite a neat little trick. So I'm now just filling in the sides, so I'm still using the same idea, but you might not see all of the square. So there we go, down to the diagonal, and then this one we can do in full, but these ones on the side we're not going to be able to see the whole thing, so I'm just using the brush again and just filling it in like that. So let's move on to the next section. So I've got some cobalt turquoise here, and what I'm going to do around each diamond, I am going to paint a line along that diagonal, and then I'm going to use my size 0 pointed round to just bring it in close to that corner, always using the grid lines as my guide. And you should be able to paint it nearly all with the one stroke brush, and then just neaten up the corners with the size 0 brush. And all of a sudden we're starting to get a really cool pattern. Now I've been just away teaching in Portugal, another country famous, well, another like region within it. Like Lisbon's got most beautiful tiles, and then there are other tile patterns and great ceramic culture throughout Portugal. And it was just one of the highlights with my class to have a chance to paint some Portuguese tile patterns. We all really enjoyed it. So I'm just going to join this one up to get down to there. So I think it's going to be a really wonderful addition to the content that we're going to have whilst we're out in Morocco, and it's going to be so much fun. If you love how I teach and you love to paint along with me, then how about coming and joining me out there in the most beautiful region, amazing exotic flowers, painting the kinds of flowers that we don't get to see. I certainly don't get to see on a regular basis. So that's what I'm particularly excited about. But we've got 7 days at this amazing Casbah, which is this amazing sort of castle, luxurious castle with swimming pools and air conditioning, which is very cool, and lovely people, lovely food, lots of fun, I've done a few residential workshops now, and what I can never get over is the bond that you form with each other, with me. Like, I've got some real firm friends coming out the back of these workshops, and it's just so enjoyable, and it's a really special thing to do, to give yourself some time to paint and create in gorgeous surroundings. What a treat. So I don't know, maybe it's the ultimate birthday, Christmas present to yourself to book on, or maybe book on with a friend and come out and paint with me together. Anyway, if you're interested, you can find all the details in the episode notes below, and I can't wait to see you there. And there you go, look at that. That, you could stop there if you wanted, quite easily, but I love a bit of detail. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just mix up a slightly more intense version of both of these colours. So I was using Opera Rose for the pink, but now I'm going to mix in a bit of Permanent Rose to the Opera Rose to make a deeper colour. And for the Cobalt Turquoise, I am going to add some Hooker's Green to just make a deeper, richer colour. Now, pink and green are great complementary colours, so it means they work really nicely in a pattern, in a colour palette together. So that's another reason why it's pleasing to look at. But yeah, we can just have some fun now. Just make sure you've got nice, deep, dark, rich, concentrated colours for this section. So you could, well, we can use the grid lines again for our patterns. So I'm just using my size 0 brush to make some little dashes, make a little diamond shape in the middle, and then bring that down in there as well. And you can see that these brush strokes are not all perfectly uniform, but in painting them in a uniform manner and using the grid, the human eye accepts that they are a lovely pattern. So I'm just going to go all the way around the pink doing this, and then we'll have a look at what we can do with the green. Each time I finish off a section of this, I'm just more and more thrilled with it. Okay, so now it's time for the last little turquoise lines, and I feel like I want to do little dashes like that. That seems like a nice way to do it. So I'm still using the grid to place in my little diamonds, and then using the lines to follow, and there we go. And there we have a gorgeous Moroccan tile. I've rubbed out the pencil a little bit, but I actually really like seeing some of the grid lines in there. So if you loved this and would like to paint more of this kind of thing, then why not check out the Morocco trip in June 2024 with me and a whole host of a wonderful bunch of painters. We're going to have so much fun, and I really hope to see you there. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed that one. If you want one of the last spaces on our Moroccan trip, then just head to the episode notes below to find out all the details and how you can book. I want to say a huge thank you to my patrons for their support. That support enables us to keep creating videos like these that everyone can enjoy. And if you enjoyed it, then hit the like button and comment below, as it makes such a difference to our channel. And if you want to make sure you never miss another video, then hit the subscribe button and the little notification bell, and we'll see you again next time. Bye!